Hello everyone, my name is Sheen and welcome back to my channel. This is the third episode of my series where I'm going to take you through the steps how I build my habitats, and today's topic is barriers. And here we are at our wonderful habitat. So this is what we already built. This is going to be a Bengal tiger habitat, and as you can see, in the first three episodes we already talked about the terrain and the layout of the habitat, and now we also decided where we want the glass walls to be, because this was part of the layout of the habitat. And now let's get to all the rest of the barrier. So you might be considering just using the normal barriers. So this is a valid option. I mean, it's there for a reason in the game, but to be honest, they don't look very good. So they look like the barriers in really old zoos, at least in my experience, and it's just not that much fun using these. The only reason I would use them is when I play franchise mode. Because, and this is going to be a bit of an explanation. If you do franchise zoos, you require your guests to walk into your zoos, just like in this zoo that I'm using for this whole inspirational and tutorial kind of area. So this is not an franchise zoo, but anyway, there are guests. And I don't know if you figured that out, but the guests will look from any angle in the habitat. And the problem is they don't consider this a wall. And since they don't consider this a wall, they will sometimes just stare at bricks or walls, or in this case, false rocks. And that's annoying to me. So what I do when I play franchise is I use the in-game barriers where the guests actually know they can't look through them, and then I decorate them with my walls that I built myself, and then it's not a problem anymore that the guests will look at this and think, oh, I don't see anything. Yeah, well, you're looking at a wall, so don't expect to see anything. Yeah, that's the only reason I use them. I'm thinking, but I don't think I use them for anything else. So if I play Sandbox, I don't use them at all. Because I also know in Sandbox, I built my zoos so large that at some point I can't allow guests in there, or I can't build anymore, so out of the way with the guests, and that's also the reason I don't need these techniques. So, since we got this out of the way, and you also can see all these habitat barriers I built there, so, yeah, I'm going to tell you now, you can do everything with the barriers. And that's the most frustrating thing I ever heard someone say when I myself looked at ways how to build nicer habitats, because you can do anything. It's not really helpful if you don't have any clue what you're doing. So, yeah, I said it, you can do anything, but now let's actually go into a bit more of a detailed look at what you can do, or at least what I can do, because, I mean, you can come up with totally different things, and yeah, so that's the beauty of the game, I guess. So at first I have like two sections of barriers. Here are the more natural barriers, where you have like mud walls, you have plants on the wall and stuff like that, and on the other side you have like more of an artificial wall that you can clearly see was man-made. So you have these white fences, you have stones with wood in there, you have normal walls and stuff like that. So that's just for me two separate ways to build barriers, because if we are going to the natural barriers, so what you can see here in 3 or 4, if you count these ones, let's just bring them up here so that you can see them a little bit better. So we have here 4 variations of a mud wall. So I think the mud wall is what you will mostly see when people build more of a natural barrier here on YouTube. And these barriers, not this one, but these 3 are mainly out of the same thing. So you take the Twilight stalactites and then you just paint them in the number that you in the color that you want to have your wall. In this case, this was a mud wall for an African wild dog habitat, so it was made in a color that would represent the savanna habitat. So you do this and you just put them near each other, maybe rotate them a bit, put some variety in the heights of these stalactites, and when you have a few, you can go ahead and take the aquatic forks. I don't know how to pronounce that, so I'm really sorry about that. You can take these, you see them, it's no big deal that I can't pronounce it. You can align the surface and just put them into there and have little bumps that stick out. And you can also do this with the big one. I know this one here. But yeah, for this one it's a little bit... I don't have enough of the stalactites to really showcase that. But anyway, it's just... You already see the goal here, so yeah. And then I also do put in these mud walls, mud patches, I think they're called, just to give it some variety. And then I also used the savanna rocks, just for some extra rock feeling, I don't know. And that is basically how you can do any mud wall you like. Of course, like you can see here with these are some tropical mud walls with plants. So you can also go ahead and put plants on there. For example, in this you can just grassland and then just put some plants on there, like maybe like this, and then you can put some rocks on there because it just looks a little bit sad without something to support the plant. And yeah, so that's some way you can put some variety. I don't know how to pronounce the verb of that. In your mud walls. So, and then here for this one, instead of using the Twilight stalactites as a base, I used the aquatic little rocks and did the same thing with this. So this was actually the habitat for meerkats. So yeah, and then we also have same technique, but this time with the aquatic, you know the word, rock tree trunks. So yeah, with this technique you can make a variety of different walls, and it's going to look so awesome, in my opinion. But yeah, let's go to more of an artificial barrier that I already built. And first we have these ones, and this was part of a saltwater crocodile habitat, and that's the reason why you can see the metal shining through, because only the wood wouldn't be very safe. And also I thought a little bit it would be unrealistic that the wood just stands there by itself, so there are, don't know, glued to the metal. I don't know if this makes it any more realistic or not, but let's just roll with that. And then I also made this little viewing area just with the metal beams, the European marquee beam, and here on the ground you can also see the same thing just load into the ground. So this is also a habitat idea I had. So, and then I made a little, I don't know if this would be the best habitat barrier, but I figured you could use it as a barrier, so I just put it in there, maybe not these ones. So these are the small rocks from, I think, were they part of the aquatic pack or were they in the free patch? I'm not quite sure, maybe both? I don't know. So at least we have these small false rocks. And with these I made a planter, so not really a habitat barrier, but some kind of barrier nonetheless, so I just wanted to squeeze it in there. And here you have, I imagine you already know what this is. I saw this a lot in like zoos or parks. These stone, not wall, it's not like one stone, it's many stones pushed together and then there are some kind of mesh around it just to hold it, and I try to replicate that. Oh, and by the way, all these habitat barriers I will put in my workshop, so you can download them later if you want to. Yeah, but maybe you can use this for a smaller habitat, but I used it only as a decorational barrier, so yeah, as I said, these two are more like barriers, but not in the habitat barrier sense. So let's just move on to these pieces. Actually, these are not also not really habitat barriers, but they are part of a dome that I built some time ago and that crashed on me, but that's not the thing. It's I wanted to say this thing is only there to tell you you can also make barriers out of buildings. So this is something that we are going to do also, because if you remember, we wanted to have an indoor area, and I planned for the indoor area to be in a house, obviously. And yeah, therefore this part of the barrier will be inside the house, and so they will be part of the house and not be something that I need to build for myself. So not as a barrier, so it's more like part of the house. And now we can go on to the brick wall. Yeah, also the aquatic falls rocks. And I also know I built another wall with these another wall with these walls. Wow, great sentence. But I don't. Oh, not walls. Which one is it? Which one is it? Oi, oi, oi. Oh, I think I named it fence. Did I name it? Yes, I named it fence. So yeah, I also built this one. This was for a caiman habitat, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's just. I'm going to put it here. So here I just put a little bit of these walls, and then I used the mesh pieces that we got in the game and just put things around it, just that it doesn't look so bad and empty, because it's quite sad looking if you only have these green panels on the side. So this is also something, if you use mesh, just always make sure you put something around it, because it's, in my experience, this makes it always look better. As I think it's good shown here. So, then on to the next. These little stone pillars with wood inside them. These were used for an Asian small clawed otter habitat, and these are just the normal East Asia stones that I rotated. So this is also something, keep in mind, you can rotate everything, or not everything, but everything that is not non-grid, and even the grid pieces you can rotate around. So, but yeah, just keep that in mind. If you want to have only one side of a piece, you can rotate it so that it fits your needs. So, like I did here. Yeah. And then you can put all these stuff there. There's also another way. If you have just these wood panels and you want to have just wood fences like these, and you put some kind of holding things like that it's not going to fall, but then you have these empty wood things, and this doesn't look as good as you want it to be. Look for decorative things like these pictures that you can hang there. Maybe you can put the sign for the animal in there, like multiple times, or you can make a little planter before that with the with these mulch things that I showed you earlier, but maybe not this big. Oh no, that's not what I meant. Here with these ones. So put a little bit of mulch here, and then to hide that now they are kinda floating, just search for any kind of beam. I love beams in this game. Maybe we're just going to use these ones. I know it's not the right color, but it's just for educational purposes, so it's not going to be the best. So if you hide it like that. So now you have a little planter, and now you can look which plants are naturally in the biome where your zoo or the animal you're currently building for is habitated. So in this case it was Asian small-throat otter, so I'm just going to type in tropical, or I put the tropical tag in there, and then I just look what plants would be nice to have in here. Maybe this bromeliad, and then for the sides these elephantiers, and then you can also remove this. Okay, now it's going to look a bit janky because I built around the picture, but if we are going to make it the other way around, so the elephantier in the middle and the bromeliad on either side, and boom, it's not looking so empty anymore. So this is also a great tip I would suggest you guys adapting if you like it. So, but enough of these ones. Let's go to the last 4 ones, because just because they're there. So these were actually 2 fences. For this one was for red panthers, and this one was for the red fox. So you can imagine why they are colored this way. And this time I just searched for the area that the animals lived in, or rather I made a I made a zoo that was located in the Himalaya, so now it's pronounced right. And I wanted the whole zoo to have this kind of Asian theme, so I just typed in Asia. And at this point in time, we hadn't had the Indonesian pack, so the tropical pack wasn't out yet, so I think I only built with the East Asia pieces. Yeah, but I just scrolled a bit and looked for things that I could use. And for the red pandas, I settled on the normal fences that are recolorable, so I kind of recolored them in the color that represented more of the red panda. And this is something that I would suggest that you keep in mind, that many of the items you see are recolorable, and you can take advantage of that. Maybe if you want, like in these 2 cases, paint the colors or make the fence more in the color of the animal to represent the animal better, or have some kind of popping color in your whole zoo, maybe only in this area, and you can make some really cool stuff with this. So if we are going now and saying I wanted to have a few areas that are with a popping color and the rest would be quite neutral, so maybe make these 3 fences white. And then the popping color you choose, I don't know, maybe it's a lush green, because your zoo has something to do with saving the forest or whatever. You can do something like that, okay? I admit that's not the best combo of colors that I could have picked, but it's just for educational purposes, so you know what I mean. Yeah. And I also, for this fence, I thought that it would be nice to have a bit of a glass wall in there, because for kids it would be nicer if they could see through, if they could see the animal without looking through the fences, and that's why I built these lowered fences with a glass barrier. I don't know if this would make much sense at all in real life, because I am certain red pandas could fit through these holes, but let's not tell them. So, yeah, another thing was with the red foxes. Where I, in my mind, thought of red pandas as quite nice and not really prone to biting, I thought, okay, no, red foxes, they would bite, I guess. And so that's why I decided to make all of this a glass barrier. So this is not only the barrier, this is also the viewing area for the animals, as well as that. And yeah, that's all there is to say. That's also only the East Asia pieces, but this time with these decorative screens. You just can do whatever you want with these, I guess. Just look what you find looks good and go with the flow, I guess. Just create, and if it doesn't look good, you can always delete it. Yeah. And then we go to the two last ones. So this one is also a pagoda, I think it's called. So the real habitat is on this side here where we're standing, and it's also with a little, why is it? Oh, it's deeper, so the guests will walk here and they can see under them the animals. So this is for some sloped areas, and I think I'm going to build something like this in our Bengal tiger habitat, because I also put a little bit of a hole in here to let the guests see the animals from a bit of a distance, but on the same level as they are, and without a wall of glass or something between the guests and the animals. So this is also cool for that, and it's also, not only is it a barrier because of the fence, it's also like the viewing area, because obviously you can see the animal. So, and now the last one is for a caracal habitat, and this is actually all I built for this caracal habitat, but anyway, I just, this was also when the tropical pack released. I don't know if you can tell, since all the pieces except for the caracal sign and the glass barriers are from the tropical pack. So I just put these pillows, I just put them together as I saw fit and what I thought looked nice. And I also made these what's this called again? It's yeah, you can see what I mean. The new okay, no, I'm not going to search for that word in my head. I think it's missing. So yes, you can see I built this on the ground. On the ground, the new ground. I found the word. Yeah, and then you will be going upside. No, not upside. You would be going up until you would be standing here, and you can look from here under the in the habitat. So you look from above, and then you can go back on the ground. So this is where I have all these different heights for the glass panels. So this is actually, I think, very simplistic, because I used always the same material, and it's very, very easy, I will say, to make, just because it's not that that complicated to make. It just put them near each other until you're done, and then put the glass walls in. And when you put a glass wall in, you make it at the same height as the normal panel would be, and the normal panel you sink into the ground just so that the guests would be able to see the animal. So yeah, that's going to be all the barriers that I previously did and liked. And now let's see what we are going to do and what we can apply for this habitat. So this is what our almost finished habitat barrier looks like right now. So I'm just going to start with this here. So at first I did put these few things that we had made in the first episode, and I copied them over and put, like with the mud walls, I put plants and stuff in there. Here you can see the twilight stalactite, the roots, here the aquatic rocks, and plants, of course. I didn't put mulch things in there just because I thought it's not really required to. So yeah, that was the first part of the habitat barrier I made. And then, as I said, I wanted to have it look like these a little bit. And I mean, just a little bit, because obviously it's looking quite different than that. I think I need to lower the terrain here, because this looks like the animals could still go and jump here off, and that's not what we want. So let's change this really quickly so that it's not going to look like they can easily jump out. So that's better. That's better. So, and then we also need to take all of the temple pieces and lower them so that it lines up with the ground. Something like this. It's not perfect, but it's okay. It's not going to be seen from up here. So yeah, we have these planters, and I have made these rock beams, and this is something that we are going to touch on in the next episode, because I realized this episode is going to be around half an hour long, and I think that's going to be my max time for one episode, since I want it to be digestible, not be a huge chunk of information at once. I mean, it is a huge chunk of information, but like not more than half an hour, more or less. So yeah, that's why this doesn't look finished. But yeah, this is the second habitat barrier that I made. Then here, this is going to be where the house comes in, and that is also something, because of time constraints, that I put on myself. This is going to be the next episode. So yeah, we are not going to bother with the house right now, and we can move on to the rock waterfall that I made. I can just quickly unpause the game so that you can see how it looks. So yeah, it's basically just rocks and plants, and the thing is, the more the better is, quite frankly, here my rule. So you can of course stop at any point with stones and plants, but the more the better, I think. So yeah, that's just that. And then the last part of the barrier that I made was these brick walls, also with some climbing deterrent, I guess it's named. Yeah, so, and what I will do in the next episode, or what we are going to do, is make the viewing areas, all of these 4, and I'm going to include in the viewing areas the housing of the Bengal tigers, and I think it would actually be a good time to actually introduce the animals into the habitat. So yeah, this is what we will see or what we'll do in the next episode. So until then, bye!